The Earth was dead. At least that's what everyone believed. The planet that once shined blue and alive was now nothing but white, endless snow, frozen oceans, and silent ruins buried under thick ice. The wind howled through the skeletons of cities. Skyscrapers leaned like tired giants, half swallowed by the frost. For 200 years, no human voice had echoed across the world. No radio signal, no warmth, only silence. Above the frozen planet, a massive alien mothership drifted slowly across the clouds. Its dark metal body glowed with blue energy, scanning the surface below. The alien scanners stretched across continents, searching for signs of life. They found nothing. Inside the ship, the alien commander, a tall creature with grey skin and sharp eyes, spoke calmly to his crew. "Scan complete," said a smaller alien officer. "No human life detected. Only frozen debris." The commander turned away. "Then it is confirmed," he said. "The humans are extinct. For them, it was a victory long ago. They had destroyed Earth's armies, burned its skies, and erased the last of its cities. The humans fought fiercely, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The war ended with fire. Now, centuries later, the aliens watched Earth only to make sure it stayed dead. But deep beneath the Arctic ice, something began to move. Far below the frozen crust where no scanner could reach, there was a hidden base, buried under layers of ice and rock. Inside that ancient bunker, silence was broken by a soft sound. A machine starting to hum, old generators shook with life. Red emergency lights flickered in dark halls. Dust and frost fell from the ceiling. A female robotic voice echoed in the stillness. "Project Frostlight. Activation sequence initiated." Inside a cold chamber, rows of cryopods stood like glass coffins. Inside each one slept a human soldier, frozen, waiting, forgotten. Frost covered their armor, their faces, their insignia, Arctic Division. One by one, the pods began to glow blue. Systems powered on. Tubes hissed as warm air flooded the chamber. Steam rose. Then the first soldier opened his eyes. Commander Riven Hale gasped as air rushed into his lungs. His breath came out as white mist. For a moment he didn't move, only stared at the ice above his head, confused and half dreaming. He slowly sat up, wiping the frost from his face. The AI voice spoke again. "Welcome back, Commander Hale. Cryocycle complete." Riven looked around. His team was still frozen in their pods. He pressed the release button. One by one the others began to wake, faces pale, eyes blinking, trying to remember who they were. Lieutenant Mara Voss was the first to speak. "Commander, where are we? Did we win?" Riven didn't answer. He looked at the control screen beside him. The data was old, 2 centuries old. He read the date. His eyes widened. "We've been asleep for 200 years. The soldiers went silent. 200 years. Everyone they knew was gone. Their families, their friends, their world, all buried under the snow." The AI voice broke the silence. "Alert! Human civilization extinct. Alien control, global." Mara stepped back. No, that can't be right." Riven clenched his fist. "Run the last logs." Screens flickered, showing blurry images. Cities burning, alien ships raining fire from the sky, soldiers falling, then nothing. The final log showed a message recorded long ago by a general. "If humanity falls, the Arctic Division will rise again. Protect the code. Protect Earth's memory." The message ended in static. The commander looked at his soldiers, only 6 of them left alive. The room was cold, but his voice burned with quiet fire. "They thought we were gone," he said. "But we're not done yet." The soldiers nodded. In that moment, hope returned. Small, fragile, but real. Riven walked to the observation deck of the bunker. Through thick ice, he could see a pale light from the world above, a frozen wasteland that was once their home. He whispered, almost to himself, "We'll make them remember who we are." As he spoke, an alarm suddenly flashed red. A radar system, silent for centuries, came online. The screen blinked, a signal detected near the surface. Riven turned sharply. "That's..." "Movement," the AI confirmed. "Unidentified life form detected." "Coordinates above the ice field." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Aliens." He looked back at his team. Their faces were hard now, no longer lost in confusion. "Prepare the weapons. Seal the chamber. No one finds us unready." Outside, the wind screamed across the Arctic, carrying with it the sound of something massive moving through the storm. The aliens had come again, searching, scanning. But this time, the humans were awake, and the world would never be silent again. The hum of machines filled the Arctic base. For the first time in 200 years, lights glowed across the long-forgotten halls of Project Frostlight. The humans were awake, confused, cold, but alive. Commander Riven Hale stood in the center of the control room, watching the systems slowly come back online. The red lights above flickered, and frost melted from the steel walls. He pressed his palm on a dusty console. "Echo," he said quietly. "Status report." The female AI voice answered, calm and emotionless. "Power restored to 47%. Communications offline. Surface temperature -75 degrees. Life outside, minimal." Lieutenant Mara Voss rubbed her hands near a heater vent. "Minimal?" she asked. "You mean nothing alive?" Echo paused. "Correction. No confirmed human life signs. Alien presence detected in low orbit." The room went silent. Every soldier froze in place. Aliens, the same ones that ended their world. Riven's jaw tightened. "Show me." A holographic map appeared above the console. Blue dots scattered across the planet. Alien outposts, mining stations, patrol zones. Earth was no longer theirs. Private Jonas spoke softly, his voice shaking. "They took everything. Even the sky." Riven looked at him, then at the others. 6 survivors in total, all wearing ancient armor that still bore the United Earth symbol. Their faces were pale, marked by years in cryosleep. But their eyes were awake now, hard, sharp, human. He stepped closer to the hologram. "If they're here," he said slowly, "they believe we're gone. That gives us one advantage." Mara looked up. "And what's that?" "Surprise," the soldiers exchanged glances. It wasn't much, but it was something to fight for. Riven walked toward the main hangar. The heavy doors groaned as they opened. Inside, rows of old Earth tech slept under sheets of frost, armored suits, hoverbikes, snow crawlers, and a half-buried combat mech covered in ice. The soldiers stared in awe. It was like walking through a graveyard of legends. "Let's see if any of these still work," Riven said. They began to move, brushing snow off weapons and checking power cells. Mara found a small drone, half-broken, its sensors flickering. She reconnected the power and smiled faintly when it lit up. "Still breathing, old friend," she whispered. Hours passed as they restored what they could. The base came alive. Heating systems, generators, control panels. Even the kitchen lights flickered on for the first time in 2 centuries. While others worked, Riven sat at the command station and opened the archive logs again. The last messages from before the fall were still there. Human leaders sending desperate calls for help, soldiers making last stands, families saying goodbye. He watched in silence, his face unreadable. Then came one video, a man in a torn uniform speaking directly into the camera. "To any survivors who wake after us, don't give up. Humanity doesn't end here. We built the Arctic Vault for a reason. You are our legacy." The video ended. Static filled the screen, Riven whispered, "Legacy," and closed his eyes. For the first time since waking, he allowed himself to feel grief, pride, anger, all mixed together. Mara approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Commander." "What now?" He looked at her, his eyes cold but determined. "Now we fight back. We find others, and we remind the universe that humans never die easy." Suddenly, Echo interrupted. "Alert! Movement detected near surface. Quadrant 3A. Riven stood up immediately. "Visual feed?" A small screen showed a shaky camera view from a surface probe. Snow blowing sideways. Visibility poor. But through the blizzard, faint shapes were moving, tall, metallic, walking on 4 legs. Mara leaned closer. "Alien patrols?" Echo confirmed. "Yes, class designation Scythe drones." Riven clenched his fists. "They're searching. Somehow they picked up our signal when we reactivated." Private Jonas cursed under his breath. "We just woke up and they already found us." Riven's voice turned calm and sharp. "Then we give them a welcome." He pressed a switch. Red lights filled the hallways. The soldiers rushed to the armory, loading their old rifles, strapping on their exosuits and checking their helmets. Echo's voice followed them through the intercom. "Warning. Contact approaching. Estimated arrival 5 minutes." Riven stood at the front gate of the hangar, staring at the heavy door that led to the surface. Snow dust fell from the ceiling as the base shook slightly. The sound of alien engines grew louder above. He looked back at his team, the last of Earth's frozen warriors. "Remember," he said, "they think humans are gone. Let's prove them wrong." The soldiers took position. The air filled with tension, fear, and determination. Above them, the alien machines landed on the ice, their blue lights glowing through the storm. They began drilling, searching, hunting. Inside the bunker, Commander Hale whispered one final order. No mercy. No surrender. For Earth. The lights dimmed, the silence broke, and the Arctic soldiers prepared to rise. The Arctic storm roared across the frozen wasteland. Snow swirled in the air like ghosts, hiding everything under a white curtain. But through the storm, shapes moved, tall, metallic, and glowing blue. The alien patrol had arrived. 4 scythe drones walked slowly across the ice, their legs sharp and spider-like, their heads scanning every ridge. Each step sent a deep vibration into the frozen ground. Above them, a sleek alien skimmer hovered, its lights cutting through the blizzard. Inside, an alien officer watched the scanners with narrow silver eyes. "Energy signature detected below," said a mechanical voice. The officer's lips curled. "Humans?" The pilot replied. "Impossible. Records say the species died 2 centuries ago." The officer stared at the icy surface. "Then tell me why the ground is breathing." Deep below, in the hidden base, Commander Riven Hale and his team watched the alien patrol on the radar screen. The red dots crept closer and closer. Lieutenant Mara Voss whispered, "They're right above us." Riven stood calm, his eyes fixed on the monitor. The hum of old machines filled the tense silence. "Weapons ready?" Private Jonas nodded. "Rifles online. Mech charging up, but we only have one." "Good," Riven said. "That's all we need." Up on the surface, the aliens drilled into the ice. Blue beams cut through the frozen crust, melting ancient layers that had slept for centuries. Steam hissed into the air. "Reading movement," one drone reported in a metallic voice. "Heat signature detected." The officer leaned forward, watching the scanner light blink faster and faster. Then the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed across the plains. The ice cracked beneath the drone's legs. "What is that?" The pilot shouted. From below, a massive door exploded upward. A blast of steam and fire burst through the snow, and from it rose something the aliens had not seen in centuries. A human combat mech, old but alive, glowing red through the storm. Commander Riven Hale stood inside its cockpit, armor shining under emergency lights. His voice came through the loudspeaker, cold, strong human. "You shouldn't have come here." The aliens turned their weapons toward him. Energy beams sliced through the air, burning snow into mist. Riven moved fast. Faster than any machine that old should move, he fired back. The mech's arm cannon roared, tearing one drone in half. Metal scattered across the ice. The others tried to retreat, but Riven charged through the smoke, smashing another drone with a swing of his mech's steel fist. Inside the alien skimmer, the officer shouted, "Impossible. Human technology cannot still function." But it did, because humans built things that refused to die. Inside the base, Mara and the others fought too. As alien drones broke through the lower tunnels, humans met them with rifles blazing. Blue and red light flashed across the dark corridors. "Hold the line," Mara yelled, taking cover behind a crate. Jonas fired, shouting, "They keep coming!" Echo's voice echoed from the speakers. "Warning! Breach in Section 4. Structural integrity compromised." Riven's voice came over comms. "Echo, seal the lower gate. No one gets through." "Acknowledged." The steel gate slammed shut, trapping 2 drones inside. The soldiers threw grenades. The explosion shook the floor, and silence followed. Mara wiped frost from her visor. "Clear," she said. On the surface, only one alien drone remained. It fired wildly, missing every shot. Riven's mech stepped closer, the ground cracking beneath its feet. He aimed his cannon at the drone's head. "Tell your masters," he said, voice deep and steady, "humanity isn't extinct." The cannon fired. The last drone exploded into blue fire. Snow fell again, covering the battlefield. The wind howled over twisted metal. For a long moment there was silence. Only the sound of the mech's engine, slow and steady, echoed in the storm. Riven looked up at the alien skimmer, still hovering in the distance. Through its glass he could see the alien officer staring down, shocked, afraid. Riven raised his mech's arm and pointed directly at the ship. "We're not finished." The alien officer hesitated, then shouted to his pilot, "Retreat! Send word to command. The humans are alive!" The skimmer turned sharply and disappeared into the clouds, leaving a trail of blue light behind. Riven watched it vanish. His breath fogged the inside of his helmet. Back at the base, Echo spoke softly. "Commander, one alien vessel escaping orbit." "Shall I pursue?" Riven shook his head. "No, let them run. Let them spread the word." He stepped out of the mech and looked across the frozen wasteland, the graves of the old world, the ruins of humanity. "They'll come back," Mara said quietly, standing beside him. Riven nodded. "I know." He looked at the horizon where the storm was breaking. "And when they do, we'll be ready." The camera would fade on his silhouette standing in the snow, the first living human seen on Earth in 200 years, as thunder rolled across the Arctic sky. The storm was quiet now. The battle was over. Across the icy plain, smoke rose from the shattered alien drones. Their blue lights flickered weakly before fading into darkness. The snow slowly began to fall again, covering the wreckage, like the Earth itself was trying to hide the scars. Commander Riven Hale stood beside the half-buried mech, watching the horizon. His visor reflected the northern lights dancing above the frozen world. The aliens knew now. Humanity was alive again. Back inside the underground base, the soldiers worked in silence. Sparks flashed as they repaired weapons and patched the damaged walls. The smell of oil and frost filled the air. Lieutenant Mara Voss placed an alien rifle on the table. Its surface pulsed with strange blue veins of energy. "This tech," she said, "is far beyond anything we had before the fall." Private Jonas grinned faintly. "Then let's learn how to use it." Riven stepped closer, examining the weapon. "Be careful. Their tech is dangerous, but maybe it's also the key." He turned to the AI. "Echo, can we interface their energy systems with ours?" "Processing," the voice replied. "Possible. Compatibility at 62%. Risk high." Riven smiled for the first time since awakening. "We've faced worse odds. Over the next few days, the Arctic base transformed. Humans worked like machines, restless and driven. They stripped the alien wrecks, pulled out power cores and merged the technology with their own old systems. The walls that once glowed dull red now pulsed with new blue light. Echo adapted, learning from alien code, decoding signals, and expanding its own awareness. Mara looked up at one of the glowing panels. "Feels strange," she said. "Like the enemy is now keeping us alive." Riven replied quietly. "That's the human way. We use what tries to kill us, and we rise stronger." One night, while Riven studied alien data logs, Echo interrupted. "Commander, I found something." A holographic map appeared in front of him, global readings. "There are other signals," Echo said. "Low-frequency transmissions. Human origin." Riven's eyes widened. "Where?" "Multiple coordinates underground, deep bunkers across old continents." "Weak but alive," Mara rushed over. "You mean survivors?" Echo confirmed. "Affirmative. Estimated 3 human enclaves still functioning." For the first time, silence fell not from fear, but from hope. Riven stared at the map. 200 years. "And they're still holding on," Jonas smiled. "Guess we're not the last ones after all." Riven placed his hand on the console. "Then we find them." "We bring them back," Echo flickered. "Long-range communication offline. Suggest activating orbital relay system." Riven frowned. "The satellite network." "Yes, if we restore power to the old orbital relays, we can send a signal across the planet." Mara nodded. "It's risky. The aliens will detect it instantly." Riven looked at her and said simply, "Good, let them know we're still here." The next day, the team launched their mission. They rode snowcrawlers across the frozen land, engines growling against the wind. The Arctic sun hung low, painting the world in silver and blue. Every mile they traveled was across what was once human civilization, now buried, broken and forgotten. They reached an old communication tower, its steel bent and covered in frost. Alien scorch marks ran across it, proof of the war that ended Earth. Riven and Mara climbed the tower, reconnecting ancient cables while Echo guided them through their helmets. "Power link stable. Signal path 80% restored." Jonas worked below, welding broken panels. Come on, he muttered. Finally, the lights on the tower flickered alive. The dish turned toward the sky, creaking like an old beast waking up. Riven pressed a button on his wrist console. "This is Commander Riven Hale, Arctic Division. To any human forces receiving this, you are not alone. Earth still breathes. Rise if you can." Static, then, a faint voice through the comms. "This is Outpost Vega. We hear you," Mara gasped. They answered. The team looked at one another, eyes wide with disbelief. "Signal weak," Echo warned. "But connection confirmed," Riven smiled. "That's enough. It means hope." High above, orbiting the Earth, an alien battleship picked up the signal too. Inside, the alien commander's voice echoed through the control room. "Repeat that transmission." "Humans. Alive." An officer nodded. "Confirmed." "The Arctic sector," the commander hissed, his eyes narrowing. "Deploy the fleet. Erase them completely this time." Back on the ground, Riven watched the stars. He could feel the storm returning. The air grew heavy, charged with coming conflict. Mara stood beside him, whispering, "They'll come for us again." Riven nodded. "Good, because this time we'll be ready." He looked at the glowing tower, its signal pulsing like a heartbeat against the night sky. "This is the beginning," he said quietly. "The resistance is reborn." As the camera pulled back, the Arctic glowed with blue light, human technology mixed with alien power. A new dawn rising over a frozen world. The Arctic night was alive with lights. Blue energy from the rebuilt towers flashed across the frozen land, reaching into the sky like a signal to the stars. The humans had spoken. And the universe had heard. High above the clouds, alien ships were moving. Dark silhouettes against the stars, hundreds of them. Their engines glowed like angry suns as they descended toward Earth once more. Inside the Arctic base, alarms echoed through every corridor. Red lights flashed. The soldiers ran to their stations, voices mixing with the hum of power generators. Commander Riven Hale stood in front of the command table, watching the radar fill with dots. "So they're coming," he said quietly. The AI Echo replied in its calm voice, "Alien fleet approaching in formation. Estimated time to contact, 2 hours." Lieutenant Mara Voss checked her weapon. "That's a lot of ships for 6 humans." Riven gave a small, cold smile. "Then it's a fair fight." While the others prepared for battle, Echo continued to scan the ice below the base. Its sensors pulsed deep underground, past ancient rock and steel. Suddenly the AI spoke again. "Commander, new discovery. Unknown human signal detected below this facility." Riven turned sharply. "Below? We've searched every level." "Negative. This signal originates far deeper." "Estimated depth, 900 meters." Mara frowned. "Something buried?" Riven's eyes narrowed. "Get the drills ready. Whatever it is, we're running out of time." Minutes later, heavy machines roared to life. The floor shook as drills pierced the ancient ice. Steam rose and the smell of metal filled the air. As the ground opened, a faint golden light began to glow from below. Jonas stared down the shaft. "Commander, that's human tech. Older than anything we have." They descended carefully into the darkness, and what they found took their breath away. A massive underground chamber stretched before them, walls covered in old Earth symbols and glowing patterns. In the center stood a colossal structure, a sleeping machine shaped like a heart. Its surface pulsed faintly with golden light. Echo's voice echoed softly, "Designation Ark of Dawn, final project of pre-war humanity." Riven stepped closer, reading the faded words engraved into the metal. "If we fall, let this awaken. Humanity endures." He placed his hand on the core. The light grew brighter, spreading through the walls like veins of fire. "Arc system activating," Echo confirmed. Energy signature increasing. Suddenly, the entire base came alive. Screens lit up. Power surged. And a new voice, in deep human and ancient, spoke through the speakers. "Welcome, soldiers. You have awakened the legacy of mankind," Mara whispered. "It's alive." "Affirmative," the voice continued. "Stored within this system, full records of human history, technology archives, and defense protocols. Humanity will not fade." Riven looked up at the glowing heart of the Ark. "Can it help us fight?" "Yes," the Ark replied. "But power comes with cost." Riven's voice was steady. "Then let it cost me." Above ground, the alien fleet broke through the clouds. Fire streaked across the sky. Energy blasts slammed into the Arctic, shaking the earth. Snow erupted like waves. Inside the base, Riven and his team rushed to the control center. The Ark's systems linked with Echo. Lights flashing, circuits humming. "Weapons system online," Echo said. "Targeting enemy ships." The ice cracked open outside, revealing ancient towers buried for centuries. Colossal cannons built by old Earth engineers, now reawakening with golden light. The first shot fired. A beam of pure energy shot into the sky, tearing through the clouds and cutting an alien cruiser in half. The humans cheered. "Direct hit," Jonas shouted. But more ships came, dozens, hundreds. The sky turned into fire. Riven shouted orders, voice clear through the chaos. "Keep firing. Protect the Ark at all costs." Mara looked at him. "Commander, there are too many." He didn't blink. "We hold." The alien commander aboard the lead ship glared at his screen. "How?" he hissed. "How are they doing this?" His officer trembled. "Sir, their weapons, they're not alien. They're human." The commander slammed his fist on the console, then finished them. Burned the ice to nothing. The bombardment intensified. Explosions shook the base. One cannon was destroyed. Ice walls cracked. Inside, the Ark's core pulsed violently. Echo's voice grew distorted. "Warning. Overload imminent. System collapsing." Riven stood before the control terminal. "Echo, if we lose power, can we transfer the Ark's data?" "Yes, to orbital beacons. But it will require manual override." Mara stepped forward. "I'll do it," Riven stopped her. "No, that's my job." She looked at him silently, then nodded. He placed his hand on the console and activated the override. The Ark's golden light wrapped around him like fire. "Commander Hale," Echo said softly, "this action is irreversible." He smiled faintly. So was humanity. Outside, the sky erupted. A wave of golden light burst from the Arctic, spreading across the world, a final pulse of human will. The alien fleet was hit by the energy surge. Their systems burned. Their ships fell from the sky like dying stars. When the light faded, the storm was gone. The world was quiet again. Only snow fell, gently, peacefully. Deep in the silence, the Ark's voice whispered one last message, carried through every beacon on Earth. "Humans are not extinct. We are eternal." Weeks later, in distant ruins far from the Arctic, other human survivors watched the sky glow gold. They heard the message and wept. Hope had returned, and in the frozen north, beneath the ice, the machines slept once more, waiting, guarding, watching. Because some legends never die, they thought humans were extinct. Then the Arctic soldiers rose.